This podcast is proud to be part of the Blueberry Network. That's blueberrywithnoease.com.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, and you're listening to Transpersonal Radio with Angela Lynne Gibson. Remember, your thoughts upload your reality. Think wisely and always prepare to ignite.
Welcome to Transpersonal Radio. TranspersonalRadio.com. Real talk for real life. Inspiring podcasts. Exploring personal empowerment and transformation through parapsychology, spirituality, and how your thoughts upload your reality. And now your host, Angela L. Gibson.
Hello, Transpersonal Radio listeners. For those of you keeping track, intuitive spiritual healer and author Dr. Richard Jelusich was going to be joining us this evening. Unfortunately, Dr. J had to go to the emergency room this morning for health issues, so please send your love, prayers, and healing energy for him to experience a quick recovery. Since Dr. J cannot be with us this evening, I'm going to share a special episode with you that was pre-recorded in December 2015. I was interviewed by Webb and Mark Schwartz on TruthFunders Inception Radio Network. TruthFunders Radio is hosted by Webb and Mark Schwartz and was created by true believers and born from the idea to take the exploration of truth to the next level. They exist to give hunters of the unknown, such as ufologists, cryptozoologists, ghost hunters, researchers, conspiracy theorists, psychics, and more, the financial stability to fund the truth. Tune in for live shows of Truth Funders every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Webb dedicated his professional existence toward evolving, creating, and presenting high-quality broadcast audio content. Art maintains a proven track record in the development and execution of mass appeal programming in both the terrestrial and digital realms, which he is very proud of. He has previously worked as on-air talent and programming executive at places like Podcast One, The New Normal Network, Tom Leykis Show, New Normal Music, KABC FM Los Angeles, KLSX FM Los Angeles, and KUFO FM Portland, among many others. Three of his most prominent influences are Dr. Seuss, yay, Dr. Seuss, Jim Henson, another good one, and Andy Kaufman. Art lives in the beautiful city of Pasadena, California, with his gorgeous wife, Alicia, and their miniature zoo consisting of 6 animals. In his spare time, he can be found playing electric piano with his ongoing musical project, Taylor Lock Band, reading conspiracy websites, and making stupid puns. Mark Schwartz is the CEO of TruthFunders.com, a brand new and technically powerful crowdfunding platform specifically designed to fund paranormal projects such as films, books, research expeditions, and inventions of the unknown. He has been a producer of online content and video production for over 14 years. His background includes producing, directing, writing, editing, as well as developing content marketing strategies across all aspects of the social media spectrum in order to help enhance targeted client visibility. Mark has produced everything from film, television, commercials, and created social strategy for cable networks, technologies, automobiles, and authors. The laundry list includes Cisco, Zynga, CBS, Fox, ABC, NBC, MTV, and Audi, to name just a few. He was the senior producer at Rooftop Media, which was recently acquired by Amazon's subsidiary Audible in October, and 3 weeks ago, his latest social media strategy and content marketing campaign helped land the author on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, where it still presides today. Mark is also the pioneer of the development of ITVML technology, which is interactive television markup language, which is currently being used in the new online interactive video space. In 2010, Mark helped create the Glee Superfan experience, which featured a brand new integration of video and social media, was on Fox.com and nominated for the Primetime Interactive Media Emmy Award. In 2011, Mark helped build a social media video campaign for Audi, which was nominated for the 2011 IAB Mix Award. Mark holds a BA in Directing and Creative Writing from the University of Arizona and is a member of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. His newest venture, TruthFunders.com, plans to showcase the thousands of French scientists' conspiracy and paranormal projects that get buried by other crowdfunding platforms, giving them a voice and the opportunity to be discovered and funded by a much larger audience. TruthFunders will offer some of the most off-the-wall projects and will be offering several features that currently are unavailable on other crowdfunding platforms. So I will make sure to include a link to TruthFunders radio show on Inception Radio Network. I'll make sure I put that link in the show notes on transpersonalradio.com so you can easily find them. Again, they are live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. So make sure to check them out. They've got some good stuff going on over there. Now, one last note. There are some swear words in this episode. So if that offends you, you may not want to listen to this particular episode. Mark and Art are really fun, and they are off the cuff, and so they use a little bit colorful language, which does not offend me. However, it may offend some of the listeners who listen to Transpersonal Radio. So again, I'm just giving fair warning. There are swear words in this episode, so if that offends you, again, you might want to skip this one. However, with that said, this is a super fun interview, and I do hope you enjoy it. We discuss all different topics of the paranormal, including psychic abilities, mediumship, psychic versus intuitive, all kinds of good stuff. And later on, sometime towards the end of the show, Mark and Art actually asked me to do sort of a reading on them live. It was live at the time, and so you might want to stick around for that. It was kind of fun. Anyway, so there are lots of good things coming up, and with that, I hope you enjoy the show. And as always, thank you for listening.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin. This is TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network, a weekly audio safari that features the newest in paranormal discoveries while highlighting the latest and not to be missed TruthFunder.com projects. For truth seekers and true believers, this week's TruthFunders starts now.
Greetings, bonjour, hola, welcome, and hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode of TruthFunders Radio, live here on the Inception Radio Network. My name is Art Webb. I am your host for this weekly look at everything that is universally good. It's about the light. It's about everything that is positive energy and positive vibes. Here on TruthFunders Radio, we are live every Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on Inception Radio Network. As always, I am joined by my co-host. He is the CEO and co-founder of TruthFunders.com. His name is Mark Schwartz, and
my dog wants to say hello. You struck a chord.
Some sort of mutation yourself this week.
It's right now because it's Christmas. All the boxes are coming. They're being delivered.
Right on. And really, he couldn't have fucked that up any worse for us. Just as I'm introducing it.
It's crazy. It's like all the boxes are being delivered. So every single, maybe 45 minutes or an hour, the FedEx guy comes. It's not even necessarily my house. It's our neighbors' houses. But my dog, he's our mascot here at Truth Funders because we hear him every week, no matter what, it seems like. He loves to bark at these people. And what can I do?
Nothing, apparently. 888-919-2355. Jeez.
I know.
888-919-2355 is the telephone here at Truth Funders Radio. If I'm sounding a little weird this week, it's because I'm stuffed up and have the flu. So if I have to bounce out of the show for any reason at any point during the program this week, it's because I'm in the bathroom throwing up. Not to give you too much information, but that's what's up with me. What's up with you this week, Mark? Are you excited to see Star Wars in like 2 days?
Oh, man. I am just trying to... This is crazy. He's never gone this crazy, I swear to gosh. Well, it's been a crazy week. No doubt. Like, the holidays are always crazy around here. You have people coming out of the houses that usually don't come out of the houses, like little old grannies and people from all over. Like, they're on the road, and they're never, ever on the road except for the holiday time. So I've been dealing a little bit with that. And also, it's really crazy. I'm sure you've heard the news about Art Bell. And I don't know what we can't talk about on Inception Radio about that, but it's pretty crazy that he had a stalker kind of come after him. And
okay, I want to talk about this. This is something that has been on my mind. I've been sick for the past few days, so I haven't really had a chance to really get too deeply into this. I know I sent you a text message earlier this week or like last week that said, leave it to Art Bell, quit on us again, because I read that he quit. And I read that he was dealing with some kind of stalker. But beyond that, I'm completely clueless as to what the hell is going on with him again. To me, just from a layman's perspective, from an objective position, it sounds to me like he's just finding another reason to quit another job. Is that what's going on here? Or
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily that. Come
on. I mean, come on.
I know. But here's the thing. So if you listen to the show, there's been... There's been a stalker that's been coming to his house and trying to, kind of, yeah.
I mean, come on.
All right.
Come on. What happened with Sirius XM?
I know.
Bailed out.
I know.
You know? What happened with, he bails out of everything he does, dude. After 6 weeks, he bails out. It's what happens. To be completely honest with you, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because we do have a really good guest, but, I turned on 790 KBC here in Los Angeles recently on the radio while I was driving my car, and guess what I heard? Art Bell's voice live on the air because they picked up his show again. Terrestrial stations were picking up the show. He was gaining momentum. He was doing it again on his own without even having a syndicator of any kind.
Yep.
And he's quitting because somebody is stalking him. Fill me in on the details of this story because it just seems ludicrous to me.
All right, so, there's a guy who one night he's inside his studio and he's talking, and suddenly there's gunshots that are fired, right across from his studio, and it turns out...
Where he lives, in the Kingdom of Nye, in Peru.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the studio is attached to his house. There's gunshots, neighbors come out, people come out, and then the next night, I don't know all the details, but the next night there was actually somebody waiting for him, and he literally almost shot this guy who was waiting for him because he saw the lights go off, the automatic timing lights go off, right around his studio. So that happened. He called the cops, and then I guess there was a third incident with more shooting and more guns, and for his family's safety, he said he's going to go off the air until, he doesn't know if it's permanent or until this guy's caught or what, but it's pretty crazy. I mean,
why does this only happen around the same time that he comes back on the air? Why didn't this happen a year ago? Why didn't this happen 2 years ago? Why is this only happening when he's live on the air and has a weekly
maybe because somebody
committed to a show that he has to do? I just something smells wrong here. Is all I'm saying. Something smells eerily.
Well, I tell you, you're not the only one who thinks that way. The message boards have been blowing up.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of the guy. It just hurts me. It upsets me and it hurts me when he keeps doing this to his fans because it's not right. It's not cool. And by the way, do you know what he is doing? I'm sorry. Do you know what he's doing when he decides to stop doing the show in order to protect the safety of his family? Do you know what he's doing? He's letting them win. That's what he's doing. He's letting them win.
Well, that's a big thing too that people are saying. This guy has pushed him around, that he is wealthy enough where he should be able to hire some particular guards or somebody to kind of protect his place while he does the show, which is true in some rights. But we all know that, and we're going to talk to Angela about this too tonight, our guest, sort of about what it means to actually make money in the paranormal realm. Was he making a lot right now doing this? I don't know, but he started
Is
getting
he making a lot
syndicated.
right now doing this? No, he's not making.
Well,
a lot
now he's not making anything for sure.
Well, did he? Yes, he made a very great deal of money. He made a very, 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 very great deal of money. I don't know how much he made when he sold the name. I don't know. Did he ever actually own the name Coast to Coast? I don't know. Either way, he made enough money to keep his property in Pahrump maintained while he lived in Philippines and maintained a property over there, which, by the way, he still owns. He's got enough money to make it work. Let's bring our guest on because, as much as this is something we could go on and on and on about, Art Bell isn't even on the Inception Radio Network, but you know who is? TruthFunders Radio. And you know who's on?
And you can also always count on the shows to be on in all the right times with all the right guests on Inception Radio Network.
Sorry, I'm coughing. Who's our guest?
Our wonderful guest tonight is Lynne Gibson, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring her on right now. Well, I'll tell you sort of how I met Angela as well. She is really cool, fantastic personality, and she is the host of her own show, and we'll talk about all that. I'd like to bring her on right now. So, Angela, welcome to our show. Sorry about the crazy tirade we had right before this and the dog going nuts.
Okay, no problem. I'm really happy to be here. I have to tell you, it's so funny to hear the dog go off in the background because I was so adamant today. I'm like, okay, the animals have to be quiet. This is serious. We have to be professional and can't have that happening. And then boom.
Well, especially just because we just got done telling you right before the show started as we were waiting to begin how professional of a show this was and how we, try to keep it buttoned up and we have this very professional demeanor and we have this,
That's exactly what you
showmanship,
said.
and we
absolutely.
keep things clean around here. We keep it family friendly. We do all the things to ensure that it is widely accessible to our target demographics. Isn't that right, Mom?
Yeah.
Well, and Angela, so sort of one of the things that people like about the show is the fact that we really have no fourth wall. When things go wrong, we bring it up. We kind of talk a lot of crap to each other. And that is, people seem to actually enjoy that. So we just kind of let loose, and then that's the way we are here.
So
by the way, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you one more time, Angela. I know we need to get to this. This is something I need to get to the bottom of.
Art.
I need to get to the bottom
interrupting
of this.
Our guest.
I know. I'm sorry. This is something I need to get to the bottom of with you before we continue with our guest, because I want to have a very lovely conversation with our guest. But you did tell me the other day that you bumped into somebody somewhere that actually was a listener to the show and didn't even know that you were on this show until after he had heard you talking. What happened? What is the reach of TruthFunders? What is happening?
Okay. Well, I'll just give you the brief synopsis. Yeah, it's no big deal. I was doing some stand-up comedy, San Francisco, where my hood is. And yeah, a guy came up to me after the show and he said, "Are you the same Mark Schwartz that does TruthFunders?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I was thrown back because no one's ever come up to me in real life person and said that they listen to the show. It's only emails that I get, people virtually listen, but to actually meet somebody, in the flesh, it was pretty cool.
That's wild. That's a wild thing.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I'm sure you should start getting some of those over where you are.
No, I don't ever leave my house. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Angela. I just wanted to get to the bottom of that. We can now continue.
That's something really important we need to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, absolutely. That was so deep. That was so deep, Art.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Kevin. Now that Art's brought you up, I'm saying hello. Hello, Kevin. I'm sure you're listening while you're playing your video games. He likes to listen while he plays not Halo, Call of Duty, maybe it was. I forgot the game. I apologize, Kevin.
That's the game where you scream "motherfucker" over and over and over.
Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with you, man?
So speaking of talking crap, I have to tell you guys.
Yes, please.
Mark, I was listening to one of your previous episodes,
No.
And this whole discussion came up about gingers and redheads. So, Art, I understand that you're a redhead and you're left-handed.
Yeah, that was last week's episode. I went back and listened to that episode as well, and the quality was horrible. I wanted to apologize to everyone for the quality of that episode. Yeah.
So it turns out I am also a left-handed, redheaded.
Oh.
You guys are taking over the world.
We are.
Mark Schwartz, that's what you get. This is what happens when you talk shit last week about the almighty and powerful. They double up on you. That's
right. So I have to ask you, Art. So I'm a bit older than you guys, but
how do you know that?
I'm gonna take a wild guess, but But when I was growing up, being born with red hair carries the stereotype of having no soul. So you hear all this crap about you don't have a soul. And so did you have to deal with that when you were growing up?
No, because I knew I had a soul, and anybody that tried to talk to me.
So, and then the other thing with being born left-handed carries the stereotype of being of the dark side or the left-hand path or dark arts or black magic. It's, Sinastria, being sinister, being evil. Being left-handed historically has been considered wrong or not accepted. So you can imagine that kind of a complex, right? Redhead, left-handed.
Again, yeah, no, I didn't really get down upon for that at all either. I didn't catch it. I didn't catch a lot of flack. I owned it though. I was very proud of my left.
There you go.
And I mean, I'm not an evil person by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Mark and I wouldn't be friends if that were the case. And I think people just assumed that I was either not evil or I was covering the evil really well. I mean, or they were just afraid. Because
afraid. Be very afraid. Yes.
Anyway, so let's talk to you about what do you do? What does Angela do, Mark? Why is she joining us on the show this week?
Well, I think Angela's going to fill us in a little bit about what she does. So I will say this: that Angela and I met. I went to Lorien Fenton, who has a show right after this show. I went to her experiencer convention that she had, and I happened to run into Angela there.
Didn't invite me.
I didn't invite you. No, I'd rather not invite you, Art.
Okay.
You kind of embarrass me whenever we go out in public. Not
as much as your friend embarrassed me that one time we were in public.
Oh man, that was embarrassing, wasn't it? Anyways, so I met Angela. Angela was interviewing different people who had different experiences, and one of the people that she happened to interview was me, and it was for her television show. And so I'll let Angela kind of talk a little bit about her show and what she does, but then also about what she does as a whole, because it was part of a psychic fair too. And so, we have people on this show that are into UFOs, aliens, ghosts. We share experiences. We also have psychics on, sensitives, people who are trying to make a difference in the world. And Angela really falls into that category. So, Angela, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm an intuitive medium and host of Transpersonal Radio, which is my own radio show. Co-host of the award-winning television show Paranormal Insights with Joseph Ernest Martin. And Mark, that's how we met. I was on site with Joseph. We were doing segments for Paranormal Insights there at the UFO conference in Sacramento. So that was a fun interview. I had a really good time with that.
Yeah, that was a blast.
What have you talked about that on your show previously? All your hauntings and all the things that you experienced?
Mark doesn't like to open up about a lot of those things. I try to get him to open up about these things, but he really has an issue, like disclosing really personal information like that. And I don't know why. I wish he would talk more about that.
In other words, I talk about it probably way too much.
No, actually, no. That was a 100% genuinely sincere comment. I don't think you talk enough about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely share with the audience. When it comes up with guests, in particular guests that we have,
but you don't really share like a lot because you've had a lot of experiences. You don't share the specifics of a lot of them. You don't. You really don't.
Well, we'll have to change that because he certainly shared a lot with me.
Yeah, no, I want to pull it out of him more. He likes to focus on the guest. He likes to give the guests all the attention.
I see. Okay.
Never about Mark. It's always about the guest.
Well, I don't know what is wrong with that picture.
Nothing at all. Not a thing at all. He's just a good host. He's very gracious and very humble.
Yes.
Yes. I think we just lost him too.
I think we did. Yes.
I think he hung up on us. I think he got upset and he completely hung up on us.
It's like I'm out. That's it. I'm done.
Unbelievable. Okay, so you guys met at Lorien's convention. He said
we did.
And talk to me a little about your radio show. What is your radio show and the television show really about?
Absolutely. So. Fun thing about that, Transpersonal Radio, I explore parapsychology, spirituality, paranormal, same thing, psychics, mediumship, near-death experiences, science behind magic. And Paranormal Insights, television show, is an entertainment tonight format that brings you the latest from the metaphysical world. So same thing, we look at anything from astrology to microchipping to past lives to whether we're living in a computer simulation hologram. Paranormal Insights has won 4 Video Excellence Awards, and we are going to begin filming Season 5 in February of 2016.
Wow, so you've been doing this for 5 years already.
I have not been doing the television show for 5 years. I started the second half of Season 3, and I did all of Season 4. and I'll be co-hosting season 5. I've been doing my radio show since 2010. So
so prior to doing the radio show and doing the television show, were you involved in the paranormal community at all? I mean, when did you start kind of exercising your abilities? I mean, what did you say you were? You were an intuitive medium? I'm
an intuitive medium. So I've been having...
What does that mean? I guess to the layman person, like, what does an intuitive medium mean?
Awesome. Okay, great. So I can get into all the differences between psychic and intuitive and mediums. But very briefly, all mediums are psychic, right? Not all psychics are mediums. Mediums are actually channels who are able to communicate with deceased, disembodied, what I call disembodied spirits, or also spirit guides or angels, basically entities not in human form or not in physical form. Psychics are those who use the left hemisphere of the brain, so they're gathering data points in the environment. Oftentimes when you hear something called like a cold reading, this would be something where they're reading cues in the environment, body language, that kind of thing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing per se, but it's a very left brain analytical type situation where
that's the masculine side of the brain. So what I assume
absolutely.
You're going to lead into saying is that the intuitives, which I am certainly a member of that group as well, use the right side of the brain, which is the female side of things.
That's exactly right. Now, and here's the little key to that.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Oh, look who's back.
Welcome.
You dropped off just as we're yelling at you.
Oh, and there he goes again.
There he goes again. All right. Well, you know what? Here's what we'll do real quick, because he seems to be trying to figure out how to get back on with us. Let's take a quick break. We'll figure this out. We'll get Mark back on with us, and then we will come back and we will talk more about the difference between intuitives and psychics, the right brain versus the left brain, male energy versus female energy, all that fun stuff. You're listening to TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network. 888-919-2355 is our telephone number. Angela Lynne Gibson is our guest, and we will be back with Mark Schwartz live on the IRN just after this.
TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Art Webb.
And I'm Mark Schwartz.
We host TruthFunders Radio each Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, live on the Inception Radio Network.
Here at TruthFunders, not only are we a new crowdfunding community for truth seekers by true believers,
but also your weekly radio destination for everything that is paranormal, metaphysical, universal, and positively good.
From celebrity guests to alternative news,
from pop culture to your interactive views, TruthFunders Radio is the only show that truly uncovers it all.
Join us live each Wednesday or download the weekly podcast via the Inception Radio Network. We take exposing truths very seriously, just not necessarily ourselves.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. Did you miss a show? Well, guess what? You can check us out on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search Inception Radio Network to listen to the latest archives of all the shows on IRN. Another way to listen to us anywhere, anytime. For IRN, this is MJ. And, oh yeah, right. Remember to subscribe, too. Hit the subscribe button. Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DreamNuage.com. Simple, raw, organic.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin. TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network.
And we're back live here on the Inception Radio Network, TruthFunders Radio. My name is Art Webb. I'm your host. 888-919-2355. 888-919-BELL is the telephone number at IRN. We are joined by Angela Lynne Gibson, and Mark Schwartz is back on the air with us. Mark, are you here? Please be to the God be here, please.
I please to the God I'm here.
Thank goodness.
The gods are pleased.
Yes. So now we were just getting into the differences between psychics and intuitives before we went into the break, Mark. And I guess we can just pick up right where we left off, Angela.
We'll just pick right up there. So as I was saying, the right side of the brain, the really interesting thing about that is the right side of your brain is the direct connection to your pineal gland, which is that gland that's smack dab in the center of the brain.
Did that not come up on last week's show, the pineal gland?
Oh, that's fun.
It did.
I did bring that up last week.
I made fun of you for having a big one.
Yes.
Well, it's important to have a big one.
I have a massive pineal gland. You have no idea the size of my pineal. Anyway.
Wear that proudly. So the point being, the left side of your brain, the psychic side, the analytical side, the logic side, that's what I call your local hard drive. So that's where you store all your data points that you gather, and that's where you have the information that you can call up quickly. The right side of the brain that connects directly to the pineal gland is what I call your internet connection, and that goes out to what Carl Jung calls the collective unconscious or the higher self, or, if you will, spirit guides, downloads from what some people would term a higher power or a creator. So that is where you get all of the downloads of information, and what you want to do is to be able to have your left and your right work in congruence, and you want to be able to have the psychic and intuitive working together. So the point being, everyone who has a functioning brain is psychic. Not everyone is going to be the level of Monet or Stephen King or Mozart, but everyone has the ability, if they want to hone their skills and develop their skills, you'd be amazed at what you'd be able to do.
I agree with that. Now, here's a quick question for you. Do you think that the level of in touch and individual level, that somebody like maybe in touch with that side of themselves is directly concurrent or directly relative to how many times they have incarnated on this plane?
Absolutely.
Do you think you're more psychic the more times you've done this?
So a couple things there. Yes, absolutely. Because whether we consciously recall information, that data print is in the DNA, that data print is in the subconscious, that data print is in the consciousness, the collective consciousness, right? So yes.
So what about, kind of brings up a question, and I'm trying to think of how to properly word this. There's some people who have the raw talent, like in acting. You're just a great actor. It's just naturally there. If you're a psychic, some people are just naturally psychic. While other people work at it. And
Mark, let me stop you right there, because this is information we should feed you, because you were off the air at the point that we mentioned this. There's a difference between being psychic and being intuitive, and I think that maybe this is the answer you're looking for in the question that you're asking is recap. I guess, Andrew, just recap for Mark really quickly the difference between being psychic and intuitive.
Sure. Very quickly. Psychic is a function of the left brain, the masculine brain, analytical, logical brain. Then the feminine or right side of the brain is the intuitive side. So psychic side is something where you're looking at your environment, you're reading cues, you're reading body language, you're getting environmental data. The intuitive side of the brain, the right side of the brain, that's where you're getting downloads of information, as I mentioned earlier.
So which one is the emotional response? Like, do you feel that something's happening? Because
that's the intuitive.
That's the intuitive side.
Yes.
And then the visual, like being able to see something, like a vision?
That's clairvoyance. So that can fall on either one. And I also just want to say, I want when we're talking about feeling as well, the very basic, when someone talks about gut instinct, like I had a gut instinct about something, that's the limbic system. So that is the lizard brain right there.
That's the word I've never heard before. I've never heard that word before. Limbic, you said? How do you spell that?
That's the limbic system, LIMBIC. So
have you ever heard that word, Mark? I don't think. I mean, I've read a lot about all of this stuff in the past. What is the limbic system? I've never heard that.
So the limbic system is literally the lizard brain. That's the most core part of your brain that is responsible for the fight or flight when you have that
right.
response, right? So
and why is it called the lizard part of the brain?
Because it's the most prehistoric, the most basic.
It's the most. It is the seed of all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Great.
So my question, I guess, based on what you originally said, if you come back over time, the more times you're here on this plane and you are coming back into your body and your soul's being sent back, you become more psychic or intuitive over time. That's sort of what you said earlier, correct?
Correct.
So are there people that have been back several times, but they try to block out the fact that they have disability? Like, are there people walking around?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Those are probably the people that are still like trying to relearn the same lesson over and over and over again. They're stuck on that particular part, maybe. Yeah.
And or, so here I'll share. I'll be real and raw for a minute.
That's what we love. Real and raw. That's what we love.
Going raw.
So, this is TruthFunders Radio with a real and raw minute, brought to you by Angela Lynne Gibson. Take it away, Angela.
So it can also be ego. It can be an ego issue, and that's one of the things that I struggled with. So I've had these abilities all my life. I come from a long line of craft workers, druids, pagans. I grew up in England, and my entire family is from that area. And so I spent a lot of time denying this and not wanting. So here's the thing. I didn't want to be psychic. I didn't want to be woo-woo. I didn't want to be talking to dead people. I wanted to be logical and grounded. So I went into the sciences. I have a bachelor's of science in biology pre-med. I taught anatomy, physiology, and general biology at UC Denver, got accepted to medical school, went into the Master's of Forensic Science program at University of California, Davis, went into the Sacramento County Sheriff's Academy. I was a private investigator for many, many years because I didn't want to be one of those woo-woo weirdo people.
I like that. Woo-woo weirdo. I like that. I'm going to adopt that. I'm one of those woo-woo weirdos.
Here's the funny thing about the way the universe works is I was continuing to get nudges and continuing to get reminders and continuing these things would just keep coming up no matter how much I would ignore.
Yeah, it'll do that too.
Right?
How so?
So I'll tell you one of the most profound changes that happened for me. So here I am. I'm doing all of these very grounded, logical, analytical, masculine, if you will, type careers and
left side of the brain working.
Oh boy, was it ever. So 2011, my sister calls me up and she says, if you can get a plane ticket to the Dominican Republic, I'm going to take you on a trip. I'll pay for everything. You don't have to pay for anything. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. Like all I have to do is buy a ticket. Everything else is paid. Entertainment, food, place to stay, right? So here we are. I get one day. And next thing you know, I find myself in the back of an ambulance being rushed to the hospital. And I knew I was in trouble when the EMT asked me my name, and it was completely blank. There was nothing there. And then I was out, was gone.
What were you being rushed to the hospital for?
So it turns out I have an autonomic nervous system disorder called dysautonomia, and I won't get too far down the road on that. But basically, everything that your autonomic nervous system is supposed to handle automatically for you doesn't function properly for me. So my heart rate, respiration, all that stuff. Basically,
everything that's involuntary, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, I went into tachycardia, and they lost me, and that was it.
Wow.
So
did you die?
So I had a near-death experience,
and
we have to hear about that too.
So this is, and this wasn't my first one, but this is the one that was very profound that really stayed with me.
Hold on. How many had you had leading up to this particular one? I mean, that's not a thing people experience more than once on a regular basis.
Right. So
let alone like once for anybody.
Right. Well, okay. So let's back up a minute then. Again, as a child, I grew up in England, and I was raised agnostic, by the way, so there was no talk of God or spirituality.
What part of England?
I grew up in Beck Row, which is about 30 minutes from Cambridge. It's northeast of London, East Anglia.
Sure.
So,
I lived in South Kensington for about a year.
Nice. So
wait a minute. How come you were raised agnostic if you were raised around pagan traditions and practices?
No. I come from a line of pagans, but
from the line. But in your immediate family. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So I was raised agnostic, and this is important because I didn't have preconceived notions about this kind of stuff. We came at it from a very pragmatic point of view. Now, when I was 2 years old, we were on the Autobahn. We were in Germany on the Autobahn, going from Germany to Holland. And this was in a late 60s Volkswagen. At the time, there were no such things as seatbelts. But my mother, in her intuition, had tied my car seat into the back with rope.
Wow.
And anyway, long story short, there was a high-speed accident. Both mother and father went through the windscreen.
Oh my goodness.
Mother died at the scene, and father almost didn't make it. I'm still here because my mother did what she did and was looking out for me. So that was one of my first near-death experiences in the literal sense of the word. Since then, I've had several. And
have you come to any conclusion as to why you are riding the edge of life and death so finely in this particular lifetime?
Right? Isn't that
something you've explored?
Exactly. So this has become, and so here I have to share a funny story with you about that. So I'm in college. I'm at university, and this is my first year at university. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Myers-Briggs or the Strongs, or the your personality profile, right? So we're sitting in a boardroom, and there are probably about 10 of us in the room, and they're going to come in and give results and go over it with us and whatnot. And this girl sitting across from me says, "Oh, mine says that I'd be a great mortician, working as a funeral director, a mortician." And I'm going to be honest. The first thing that popped into my head was, what in the hell did you put on your personality profile that the mortician? Really?
Right.
Okay. So I laugh about it, but at the same time, you're exactly right, Art. My entire life has revolved around life and death. And profoundly so. I've lost a son to SIDS. My mother died right in front of me. Lost a couple friends to suicide. Everything around what I do, whether I like it or not, comes back to this. And so I've made it a lifelong study, and in fact, writing a book called The Grand Transition. Right?
I mean, the universe did not really give you a choice in that at all.
Right? And no matter how much I try to run from it, it's there. And I think one of the things that I'm called to do, being a medium, I'm able to sit with people who are experiencing these profound losses, and having gone through so many losses of my own and having had near-death experiences of my own, I think I'm in a kind of a unique position to help in this process.
Well, let's talk about this, getting back to this near-death experience in the ambulance.
Absolutely.
Can you go into detail about, do you remember, do you have vivid memories of that experience?
Absolutely. In this particular one, now I've had a couple. I've had a few that have been a little bit different, which are interesting. In this particular one, there was a moment of complete darkness, and that's when I first slipped, and it was nothingness. It was absolute peace. And then immediately after that, I could sense beings around me, but I couldn't see them. And then I could just hear. And what I can tell you about that experience, when we are in a physical form, when we're in physical body, and we are looking through our two eyes, we are limited in scope in what we can see. But when you are unencumbered and in spirit form, you can literally see 360 degrees. You have an absolute knowing and sense of understanding. It's so profound, and it's very difficult to have the vernacular in our human vocabulary to be able to convey a lot of this. But it's absolute
it's something
bliss.
You've had to experience in order to truly understand.
Pretty much, for the most part. And the problem too is that no matter what, it's anecdotal evidence, and so scientists will argue, well, this is just a neurophysiological response to the body shutting down through the dying process.
Right. That's what we hear all the time.
Right. However, interestingly, in my studying, in research, it turns out that there's actually been a study first of all, Dr. Bruce Grayson has committed a lot of time and effort to studying near-death experiences and being able to tell the difference between just the neurophysiological response to the physical body dying versus an actual NDE. We could get into that. Anyway, so as I start to understand that these beings are around me and I'm listening to them, then I know that my mother's there, I know my grandparents are there, and then I hear this voice. Now, it's not hearing with your ears, obviously. It's a telepathic conversation that happens. And it was basically, and I have to give a little background, because whenever I talk to what some people would call God or creator, I pretty much just say, I don't want the BS, okay? Just give me the bottom line. I want straight talk. I don't want any of this nonsense, parables and rhymes and riddles, none of that nonsense. So this is kind of...
Cut the bullshit, universe.
Cut the bullshit, right.
Yeah.
So literally, I have this conversation, and all I hear is, what are you doing? Well, what do you mean? Why are you wasting your time? What is going on here? We have given you all these experiences. We have given you these abilities, and you keep running and doing all these things. So you have a choice to make. You're either going to get with it and do what you're supposed to be doing, or you're going to just recycle, basically.
Come back and do it all over again.
Yeah. So I said, okay. So
you got with the program, essentially.
Right. And so it was fascinating, because right at that moment I said, well, I choose to stay, and I choose to do what I'm supposed to do and pay attention. And at that moment, I started feeling this sharp pain in my chest. They were pushing on my chest, and I started coming back, and I realized, oh, wow, okay, boom, here I am. All right, let's do this. Now, it was quite a struggle. It wasn't just, I was spry and whatnot. I had to go through a lot of medical treatment and hospitalization and whatnot. But that was the change from me, point being that I said, okay, I need to step into this and stop running around doing all these other things. Having said that, everything I did up to that point was instrumental in being able to make me a better intuitive medium today.
So then what was the, I guess, what do you feel that it's an incredible story, and I feel like there's so many different directions we could take this and talk to you about, because you've had so many experiences, but what do you feel that your strengths are, or your secret superpowers, if we can put it that way?
My secret superpower is probably surviving this lifetime, I would guess.
No kidding.
Has there been
you don't
any?
really have a choice. They keep pushing you back for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, has there been any revelation? Like, have you been able to look into a past life somehow, or done any regression to kind of figure out why you are in this particular phase?
I have a little bit, although I haven't spent a whole lot of time dabbling in past lives, simply because, from my viewpoint, we have so many data points to work in this lifetime.
Sure.
That's where the focus needs to be. And again, it becomes somewhat anecdotal evidence, right? I do know that I've had many different witch incarnations in the past, so I have suffered many different types of persecution and execution for being in that area. And here I am again.
Well, when we were talking, and it was really brief, and it was, in an interview setting, but I can read people. Like I just sort of pick up on vibes and, a little bit about somebody. I can tell when I talk to them. And I don't know if I would call that intuition or psychic ability, but there was a real familiar presence that I had when I spoke with you, and you're very easy to talk to, and there's a lot of knowledge behind, your eyes and the things that you were saying and talking about. That was just really evident to me. And so you stuck with me. Like in my head, it wasn't the fact that I was being interviewed for a TV show. Like I felt that there was some sort of really cool connection when we talked, that you just knew a lot more. And I knew that I wanted to get you on the show at some point. So I'm really glad that you were able to make it.
Well, that sure didn't take long.
Yeah.
And thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think part of what you're picking up on is, my name is Angela, which means messenger of God, literally. And so my superpower, my calling is that I am meant to be a channel in this lifetime. I am meant to be a messenger. I am meant to break down the broken paradigms and restructure the myths and the misunderstandings. I'm here to shift human consciousness and get people going in the right direction.
Now, what did your family say and people around you when you decided to make this big change in your life and go from, sort of technical jobs and jobs that are grounded in quote unquote reality to, something more spiritual?
By the way, I would say the things that she's doing now are more reality based than
well, you and I would definitely say that, but I'm just saying, the average person out there, might not necessarily see that. But that's a big change to make. Yeah. So what did your family around you say? Was there pressure? Did people tell you not to do it? Did people have your full support? I mean, yeah.
Big news! The new Sprint LTE Plus network is faster than Verizon and AT&T based on analysis of a recent study by Nielsen. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to join Sprint for the biggest offer in U.S. wireless history. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Yep, you heard that right. No gimmicks, no tricks. You have Verizon's 6 gigs for $60, 30 with Sprint. And if you have 15 gigs for $100 from AT&T, 50 with Sprint. Even if you have T-Mobile's 10 gigs for $80, we'll give it to you for $40. Oh, and one more thing. We'll even pay your switching fees up to $650 per line so you can switch to the Sprint LTE Plus network today. Visit a Sprint store at sprint.com/save 50%.
Offer coverage not available everywhere for discounted phones. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Subject to new line $36 activation fee. Credit valid port-in. Plans may not be exact match. See website for eligible plans. Offer ends 1/7/16. Savings through 1/8/18. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Contract by via reward card requires online registration.
Interestingly, a few things around that. Most overwhelming support. A lot of people said it's about time. And I have to say, I was doing much more self-judgment than many of the people I had expected. And I'll explain very briefly about that. I was very adept at being compartmentalized. And so there was this part over here, and then there's the part here, and I was keeping all the groups separate, right? So I had people
I feel that way all the time. I mean, I really can relate to that.
And when I finally said I need to start integrating and I need to start coming out, as you know, if you will, coming out of the broom closet, I was really amazed at the amount of support I got from the medical community, from my days when I was doing the medical stuff, to the law enforcement community, to people you would never expect to step up and say, that's amazing, that's awesome, that's fantastic.
Well, maybe you subconsciously sort of surrounded yourself with people who got it in the first place.
Well, I did have a few. There were a few people that I expected that would be there for me that were the ones to turn. And at the time, it hurt me deeply. But now I understand it was their own fear, their own stuff that was coming up. And the thing is when you can see, and here's the thing, Mark, you were talking earlier about you get a feel for people. You can kind of, and for me, I can see you. I see your essence. I can see, it makes people uncomfortable.
And can you do that remotely too? I mean, you can do that with Mark and myself right now, for example.
Yes.
Do you say I make people uncomfortable?
No.
No, she does, because she can see your essence. Your aura is purple, Mark. Your aura is purple.
Now, interestingly, I don't see aura. Interestingly, I don't see aura.
Yeah, but, I think that's something all three of us can commonly find ground on. I mean, that's especially like something that Mark and I early on found common ground on, was the fact that we have this ability to kind of like, within the first 5 seconds of meeting somebody, totally understand their character and who they are as a human being without having to know anything further about them other than just what you are reading off of the energy that's being presented.
Yeah, I met Art because I reached out to him. I sent him an email. He was a sort of on-air personality on another radio show that's pretty well known, and he was helping to produce that show as well. So I reached out to him because he was running not only that show, but another radio station that was full of music. Sent him an email. It was kind of a personal email, and he wrote back, and we were just able to sort of sense he got lots of emails, but he wrote back to this particular email, and here we are, like pen pals, and then years later on a show together, and we hang out, when we're in LA, and it's crazy. Sometimes you can just feel the energy from someone, something they wrote,
and you know what that is out. When you're talking about past lives and reincarnation, coming in multiple incarnations, what you're referring to right now, Mark, is what I refer to as soul pods. So there are certain souls that reincarnate together over and over again. And you may have different roles in each of those incarnations, but you will interact because there are different mirrorings that you need to do for one another.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes when you meet those people. Like sometimes Absolutely. You just know it. And other times it's revealed to you over time.
Exactly. And the reverse is true. Oftentimes you will come into contact with someone and immediately say, oh, no, I don't want that person around me.
Sure, yeah. So what kind of...
Why do you think I live in Southern California and Mark lives in Northern California? That is not an accident.
Yes.
I have a question for you, actually. What is your opinion, getting back into kind of like the near-death experience that you had, or near-death experiences that you have had, what is your opinion on people using psychedelics or naturally occurring like peyote or hallucinogenic mushrooms to get in touch with that side of their consciousness in a more kind of like way that is taken upon they want to do it. What is the word I'm looking for? Initiated purposely by themselves. Like they're not trying to die, but using that to get to that side of the things.
I understand. So I know, personally, I know people who do that, have done that. And this is my opinion and also opinion of one of my mentors. When you are doing this kind of work, it's really important to learn how to reach that state without any type of drug influence, because when you are under the influence of ayahuasca or peyote or mushrooms, any hallucinogen, LSD, without doubt, you are having an experience, and it's probably a profound experience. But it is difficult to discern if it's a true connection with source versus just your mind misfiring and creating these illusions.
But one could argue that what the mind is misfiring, quote unquote, under those circumstances is the same types of quote unquote misfirings that occur when somebody has a near-death experience. No,
one could argue that. Again, I would. So I guess. So let me put it this way. Again, I've been having these experiences pretty much my entire life, and
clearly you don't need the help. You don't need to go find peyote in order to have these.
Right. Well, and I'll give you an example. So, and this is the first time I've ever admitted this in public. So here we go. So I actually experimented with mushrooms one time over a weekend. So 2 or 3 different times over a weekend, and I was sort of disappointed because I thought, well, I have better experiences without this stuff. Like this is
it wasn't as strongly concentrated as you expected it to be.
Well, so one would argue that, except that my friends that I was with, they were doing just fine. Well,
I think one could say, Angela, that you had a lot of experience going onto that side of consciousness before they did, and you kind of knew what you were getting yourself into in a weird sort of way that you weren't maybe hyper aware of in the moment, but this was something that you had done before and kind of like had experienced. So I would probably argue that you just were not all that impressed by it because what you had previously experienced was much more highly concentrated in what you were going through than what they were ever experiencing just eating some mushrooms.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. So you probably were just like, this is baby shit. This is child's play. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here?
Pretty much. I was like, this is it.
This is the O'Douls of near-death experiences.
Yes.
The O'Douls.
I love it. Having said that, there are obviously in South America in particular, ayahuasca and going on ayahuasca journeys is part of the culture. It's something that has been ingrained for, hundreds
I do feel that some people are abusing it, and it can cause issues. I actually know someone fairly close to me that tried ayahuasca and and I know people who have tried all sorts of things, and some of them are totally fine after using lots of stuff. Some of them are kind of strange after using stuff once. But this particular person,
everybody's body chemistry is made up completely differently, and the way you respond to anything is going to be uniquely individual to the way somebody else responds to anything.
Yeah, when this person tried it, he really got in touch with his soul, quote unquote. That's what he said, and he kind of went. He went a little nuts and started treating people really badly because he started being selfish about things and said that, the world is really about what I want from it, and I haven't been giving myself enough of, good stuff.
He's right in what he said there. He's just interpreting it the completely wrong way because it's about yourself and what you
something
give
that suits him, right?
So there's the inherent risk when you're doing any mind-altering substance.
No, you're exactly right, Angela. That is a perfect example of where you can go south with this and how.
If you have any type of possibility of having multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, any of the mental disorders, doing a hallucinogen can trigger something in your brain that can set you off on a not so pleasant path.
Right, and he did have that. I believe he had bipolar. He was bipolar, and I think it did do a trigger. So it's crazy.
That's a very accurate and on point assessment of what these things can do and how you need to be aware of what you're doing when you take them. You definitely need to know that you can handle your shit.
Yes.
And don't take four hits of acid the first time you do it.
And know where it's coming from, and it's not cut with anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to steer this conversation away from this just a little bit because there's so much I want to ask you, Angela.
Well, hold on, Mark. I don't know if you've looked at the clock, but we should probably take a break because it is the top of the hour. So maybe we'll take a break. We'll reset. We'll get off the drugs topic. I know you don't like talking about it too much.
I don't mind. It's cool.
Every time we bring it up, you want to get off it as soon as we can. 888-919-2355 is the telephone number. 888-919-2355 is the phone number here at Inception Radio Network. You're listening to TruthFunders Radio. Our guest is Lynne Gibson. We're having a very wonderful conversation with her about mediums and intuitives, psychics, near-death experiences. And there's so many more things that we want to get into with you, Angela. And if you would like to get on the phone and ask her a question, again, 888-919-2355. We've got about 30 minutes left of the program, so we will take a quick commercial break. And we'll come right back with a lot more here on the Inception Radio Network and TruthFunders Radio. Talk to you right after this.
TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Art Webb.
And I'm Mark Schwartz.
We host TruthFunders Radio each Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, live on the Inception Radio Network.
Here at TruthFunders, not only are we a new crowdfunding community for truth seekers by true believers,
but also your weekly radio destination for everything that is paranormal, metaphysical, universal, and positively good.
From celebrity guests to alternative news,
from pop culture to your interactive views, TruthFunders Radio is the only show that truly uncovers it all.
Join us live each Wednesday or download the weekly podcast via the Inception Radio Network. We take exposing truths very seriously, just not necessarily ourselves.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. Did you miss a show? Well, guess what? You can check us out on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search Inception Radio Network to listen to the latest archives of all the shows on IRN. Another way to listen to us anywhere, anytime. For IRN, this is MJ. And, oh yeah, right. Remember to subscribe, too. Hit the subscribe button. Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DreamNuage.com. Simple, raw, organic.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network.
And we're back here live on the Inception Radio Network. You're listening to TruthFunders Radio. My name is Art Webb. I'm with Mark Schwartz, and our guest is Angela Lynne Gibson. Angela, where can people go if they want to find you? Like, what do you have a website, or do you have a social media, or do you have the TV show or the podcast? Where can people go? Where should they be going?
They should be going to find me. Absolutely. AngelaLynneGibson.com. That's Lynn with an E. Transpersonalradio.com. And you can also find me on Facebook by searching Angela Lynne Gibson or Transpersonal Radio.
You can
find. Say that again?
Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter as well.
Are you on Instagram?
I have an Instagram account and I rarely use it.
Just curious. I always like to see what people are using for social media.
Yeah, I'm on all of them, but it's just overwhelming. It's too many.
It is too many. You're right. It's hard to keep. My wife has her own business. This is a completely off topic. No, but she has her own business, and she's consumed by updating Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and what's the other fucking thing? Pinterest and all of it. It's too many. She's buried. Can't even be like she's an artist. She can't do any artwork. She's too busy on social media. It's crazy.
Yeah, it takes over your life. And then you can Google Paranormal Insights. You can find Paranormal Insights, all the past episodes on YouTube and Vimeo. You can find Paranormal Insights on ATTUverse Channel 99 throughout the state of California and various Comcast channels depending on your area.
Yeah, so let's talk about the show just for 2 or 3 minutes. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in the show? And can you tell our audience a little bit about what the show is about?
Yeah, absolutely. So funny story there. I had gone to the Nevada City Psychic Fair for the first time and as a customer, a client.
Is there a city in Nevada called Nevada City?
There is a city in California called Nevada City. Can you believe that?
City in California? Where is this? I've never heard of this city.
Right? Do you know where Grass Valley is?
No.
Okay. So do you know where Auburn is?
Is it near is it like Northern Cal? It's got to be like Northern Cal.
Yeah, it's in the Sierra foothills. So it's basically, it's in between Truckee or Tahoe area and Auburn.
Wow. Nevada City in the state of California. What do they come up with next? That's crazy.
Right? So anyway, I went there to have a reading, and the person I had a reading with, Israel Hurtado, amazing. He said, so you better get ready. Things are about to take off. How do you feel about being on television? And I said, well, I'm fine. I mean, I have my own radio show. I'm open to it. If it happens, that's great, whatever. He said, well, get ready. It's about to happen. This was in April, and in May, I went to go do a psychic fair as, working the psychic fair. And I look across and I see this big banner for the Quest Tarot. And I said, oh my gosh, that's one of the tarot decks that I talk about when I'm teaching tarot classes. And so I'm going to have to go talk to this guy.
Why do you pronounce it tarot and not tarot? What's the difference? Is that an old school pronunciation?
British pronunciation. I still have little. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So.
I just have never heard tarot before.
As long as no one calls it tarot, we're good.
I would hang up on whoever. If we had ever had a guest, Mark, note this. If anybody we ever have on the show says tarot, we're immediately dropping that.
You're out of here. So anyway, I went over to...
I'm a tarot reader.
Hey, y'all got any of them carrot cards? Sorry.
You got any of those tarot cards with those kings and sitting in them cups and stuff?
That's from the devil.
You got the tater tot cards? I heard the tater cards. You got any of the tater tot cards for sale?
Yeah, I want you to read me in my fortunes and such.
But don't tell the church because I got to go on Sunday.
Yeah, that's it. You're actually right.
I'm just joking. I've actually had Christians come sit and have a reading from me. It's fascinating. Anyway, so I go over to introduce myself, and we kind of start talking. Joseph, who is the author of the Quest Tarot, and he says, would you want to be on television? Well, just two months ago, I had a reading that said I was going to be on television. I said, well, sure. What's it about? So he started telling me about it. Basically, he says it's entertainment tonight with fast-moving topics, anything in the metaphysical world. We're going to give a lot of information. It's exciting. It's fast-paced. Do you want to do it? And I said, why not? So the funny thing about that is when I moved to California, you have to remember I was still very much in my left brain doing all the medical stuff, the forensic stuff, the law enforcement stuff. And I said...
Far away from entertainment, as far as you can
right? And I said... I was the person who made fun of people who came to California to be in entertainment. Right?
That's what you get.
That's what I get. That's
see what happens. See what happens.
Well, I'm going to start making fun of millionaires next because apparently...
You should. Those millionaires, what do they got going on anyway?
All that money. It's ridiculous.
Stupid, right? Stupid. What do you need all that money for? Hey, I was going to ask you, so you're able to produce the show from wherever you are because you just moved to Southern California. Is that something that you can kind of do like from home, or how does that work?
I'll have to travel. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I used to travel to do it. It's in the Bay Area. We do all the filming at Chabot College in Hayward, California. And they have a beautiful, they just have a completely upgraded studio. It's just absolutely stunning. And so I will have to travel now from Southern California to the Bay Area.
It's pretty.
It's like $49 though. Take Southwest. It's like $49 each way. Fly to Oakland, get on that BART, you're fine.
Right? Perfect.
So, and some other stuff you're doing is kind of helping people out with your superpowers. And I know that we kind of laughed at that word earlier when we were talking about it, but
you've been on a real superpower like trip lately.
Well, no, because it is. I mean, it's like it's a special.
You call them these talents that people have. You call them superpowers.
Well, I personally, so I'm into science fiction. I would love it if I had a superpower, and I tell people they have superpowers for everything. Like if their talent is coding computer, I'm like, oh, that's your superpower. So I don't look at it like a superhero kind of thing. It's just their ability.
What is your superpower? You ask everyone else what their superpower.
Yeah, what is your superpower?
You asked me last week. We want to know what yours is.
I don't know. I think people have to. Gosh, I don't know what my superpower is, guys. It's hosting this show here on TruthFunders Radio on the Inception Radio Network every night.
No problem asking everybody else. No problem asking everyone else what theirs is.
Okay, next episode, Mark. Next episode, you're going to have to tell Art what your superpower is.
Angela's even going to come back on
it out.
Getting next week's episode so we can get to the bottom of this.
Absolutely.
She's not letting me off the hook easy. She is not letting me off the hook.
No.
But for real, I mean, do you consider yourself? You consider yourself more of an intuitive than a psychic, correct?
Yes, I would say more intuitive than psychic, yes.
And do you sort of feel things more, and you like how do you describe that? I know we already described it.
I did kind of want to get back to that. So earlier you stated, and Mark, this is exactly what you're saying. Earlier you stated when you see somebody, you can see their essence. Can you go into more detail about like what is it exactly? When you see Mark, or you see myself, or you see anybody that you're working with, what is it exactly that you're seeing in the essence? You're not seeing colors, you're not seeing shapes. What is it you're seeing?
Who that person really is. If you strip away the meat suit and that's gone, who are you? That's what I can see.
How fast can you see that?
Immediately.
It's immediate, right? Yeah, it's an immediate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And does the person have to physically be there, or can you be talking with them on the telephone?
Okay, so that's a great question. Now, for me, I like being face-to-face. It's a personal choice. I prefer being face-to-face because you get the body language. You get their eyes, right? You get the energy. Having said that, it is possible to do any of this remotely because we are energy. It's all energy, photons. It's so that's why remote viewing works. That's why remote energy healing works, because we are manipulating energy. We are energy. We are electromagnetic beings.
That's right. There's a great song by the Apples in Stereo called Energy. It's about exactly what you just said. It's a great song.
Well, fantastic. That can be your theme song.
We should play that.
So what sort of reading do you get from Art? Can I ask that, or is that like I shouldn't even bother asking that? Is it weird for me to ask that question?
I don't know, Art. Is it weird for him to ask that question?
No, not at all. I don't care.
So what I get from Art is he has had quite a few bumps in the road. He can go into the dark, cynical side very fast, very easily because of what he's been around and what he's seen and some of the people he's been around. And yet, at his very core, he has the biggest heart of a person you could ever meet, someone who would go out of his way in a minute, someone who would do for others without expecting anything in return. Wearing heart on the sleeve, though, can cause a little bit of betrayal complex. So careful with that. But overall, just, I really love your energy. You're real. And I love that. There's no pretense. You get what you get. And if people don't like it, too freaking bad, move on. So I love that.
That is so accurate. That is how I view you, Art.
No, you're dead on. I've had people tell me like over and over throughout my life that like one of the most endearing qualities about me is that I just don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
And that's
and I really don't.
How freeing is that? How liberating is that?
Yeah, it is. Look, I can tell you that like I have done this whole like being on this planet thing many times, many.
Absolutely.
Many times. So I'm not really concerned about. I've never. I mean, and this is going as far back as like 3 years old. I've just never been concerned about anything superficial in any way, shape, or form. It's stuff that has no meaning to me. I've always had that sort of like, just as you said, like it is what it is. And I'm going to be real, and I'm going to be upfront. And you're right. I do have a very big heart, and I do have an ability to kind of put that out there on my sleeve a little too often. You're right. No, you're dead on, absolutely dead on. Are you able to kind of, I mean, like, if I were to tell you I'm a Gemini, that probably would not surprise you.
No, not at all. And that's interesting because the Gemini can sometimes exhibit the bipolar behavior, not that the person is bipolar, but being that on again, off again, on again, off again. And that is because you have such a big heart, and because so let me put it this way. People are drawn to you like a moth to a flame, that they see your light, and sometimes people want to take advantage of that. Oftentimes, at this point in your path, you've raised your vibration, your frequency to a point where you're drawing higher vibrational people to you, so that's less of a factor. But you have had in the past experiences where people see that light and they want to suck the life out of you. So,
yeah, I don't let them though. I mean, that's something like my wife. I mean, if we're going to be real honest about this, like that's something my wife has had a very great deal of part in, like making me better about in my life, and like being aware of shielding and being aware of grounding and centering myself and not letting people suck energy, because I am so. I mean, I went to a kirtan over the weekend. With my wife she's a yoga teacher, and they had a kirtan for their holiday party. And I had to leave the room at one point because the energy was just, I mean, it was making me nauseous. I can't, I have such sensitivity issues that like any little.
Well, you're an empath.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And any little bit can just like throw me off my rocker. So yes, there are.
Oh, totally. I've witnessed that firsthand. With art.
Yeah, and that's why I can't do big crowds. I mean, I just can't. I can't do big crowds, and I can't do. It's a miracle, and I can go to music festivals and be okay.
Right. So you're someone who, when you're around that, then you need a few days recovery, just in your little sanctuary, your cocoon.
Yes, I am a 9. I am a numerology wise. The hermit? I'm a hermit.
I'm curious now. What do you read from me? Is that okay to ask?
Well, yeah, sure, of course. With you, so here's what's fun about you is you have this boyish energy about you. You have this innate curiosity about everything, and everything to you, like the world to you is your playground. What's next? What's next? What's next? And you're a why person. Why? You probably drive people crazy sometimes because it's like, why this? Why that? Well, what? How does this work? Well, why this? Why that? And sometimes people are like,
just tinkering,
right? But that's beautiful about you. So you have been able to get through life thus far relatively unscathed, and there's no bitterness or darkness. It's just a curiosity. There's just this. There's a younger soul quality about you. This is not your first lifetime by any means, but you have that neophyte thing about you. That's just this. Again, like a kid on a playground, a kid in a candy store. Everything is shiny and awesome and amazing, and I love that about you.
A kid in an office full of Star Wars and Mad magazines when I'm 35 years old. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, completely dead on as well. Yes, Mark can be very irritating with his whys. But at the same time, you're right. His curiosity is infectious, and it is something that like rubs off on anybody that is around him. And I think that that's something that Mark and I both have seen in one another, that it's a common interest that we share, is just like this passion and enthusiasm for the world around us and life and living and doing things and putting it out there and all of that. And that's really what the essence of this show is about at the end of the day, is it not, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. It's trying to explore what else is out there, kind of, and not only that, but spread some of these ideas and thoughts. So even people who are out there who might not be into the paranormal, if they heard the show, they would be like, "Oh, that's interesting." It's just kind of spread that idea. I really love that. And I think one of the things about me is every once in a while I'm reminded, oh, wait, I'm an adult. I have to pay bills. I have to do these adult things, look at the health insurance, blah,
those
blah,
aren't adult things. Those are just BS, like being a human being things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but that's part of what we signed up for, though, when we decided to go into the meat suit.
You're right. We did. We all chose to be here. We're all here because we want to be. You're absolutely right. We're all going to be here for much longer. It's going to be a long.
Yeah, I had an ex-girlfriend who got a reading, and she came back, and she said, "Wow, the psychic that I saw had a lot to say about you." And I said, "Me?" And she said,
that totally happened to me once with an ex-girlfriend as well. I had that exact same experience.
She said that the psychic said, "Oh, there's someone who's really close to you that has just tons of energy. I just see you like bouncing up and down all around you." And apparently that was me. I said, "That's not me." She said, "That's you."
That's
That's what bouncing's for. Tiggers. That's what Tiggers do best. I want to ask you, Angela, because I come on, I know the answer to this question. I don't even know why I'm asking it. It could just be a statement. I know the answer, but I want you to answer it anyway. Are you afraid of death?
Well, that is an excellent question. So, so that's one of the struggles, believe it or not, that I go through, and it's been an interesting journey for me. So, in my younger years. And I know a lot of young people go through this, because what young person doesn't have the immortality complex? This was a little different, though, because I had been around death again. From infancy forward, I've been around death. So that was nothing new. And in fact, as growing up, I thought that's what everyone went through. When I was younger, even up through into my mid-20s, I was not afraid of death. And in fact, figured I was probably going to die young. I didn't really believe I'd be around that long. Because of my experiences, I always lived my life, pretty much still do, doing whatever the hell I want and living the days the way I want to live them, because, cliche or not, each day could be your last, and that is very, very true. When I got older and I had a couple of my near-death experiences, I was afraid. I wasn't afraid of death per se. The best way I can describe it is I'm being selfish, because there's still so much I want to do and see. And I know that, so the three of us here talking tonight, we believe in the premise of reincarnation. So I believe that the soul can reincarnate. But at the same time, I know that this Angela, this being, the way the DNA came together, the way everything came together right now in this moment for me to be who I am in this lifetime, I'm not ready to give that up yet. There are still so many things I want to experience and see. And when I reincarnate, I may reincarnate on another planet, in another universe. I may come back to this earth plane again, but it will be different. It will be a different experience, and I'm not quite ready for that yet. I want to hold on to this one still. There are things I want to do. And so I guess the fear part is that would be taken away before I'm ready.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes total perfect sense. I think we all sort of feel that way. Mm-hmm. And also you said something that really struck me was going to another planet or being reincarnated on another planet. Have you ever met somebody who felt that way? Or
Absolutely. I have done readings for people where I knew they were not earth energy, so to speak.
How do you tell them that?
Oh, they often know it.
Okay.
So usually when I'm doing a reading for someone, I'm very, you probably didn't know this about me, but I'm pretty also direct. So,
just the way we like it at TruthFunders.
Right. So when I read for people, and people know that when they sit with me for a reading, they're going to hear what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. And so people who sit with me are people who are ready for that kind of a conversation. And I've never had a problem with it. There has been a lot of fascination. And oftentimes I've had people who say to me, I know that I've been a different, from a different planet or from a different species or from a different universe. Now, I have to tell you that initially that was a little weird for me in the aspect that I'm not big into the UFOs, believe it or not. That's not really one of my things.
Okay, you guys are probably talking, and if memory serves me correctly, I'm talking over you right now, and there's no way I can hear you. I'm back on here, but I'm not on because I can't hear you. So sorry to just interrupt you like that. Whatever you were saying, I apologize. I'm not hearing anything you're saying right now, but I'm probably just going to have to drop the call or the show here and say thank you, Angela. And Mark, you'll have to wrap up the program. So sorry about that, technical difficulties. And thank you so much, Angela. Great conversation. And Mark, I'll let you close out the show. Sorry about that, guys.
And I didn't even realize Art was gone, but that's good to know. But sorry, so you said that you have never, have you ever had a UFO experience, or now that you're a little bit more connected, or are you still, no, you haven't seen anything or felt anything or?
Right. So here's the thing for me. This is where I am with this. What we are trying to do in our human incarnation is come up with a vocabulary to describe our experiences. And what I believe, again, going back to the concept that we are all energy, what I believe is that entities or beings manifest themselves in a way that you can relate to and understand in your paradigm, in your construct, in your set of experiences and filters. In other words, when a being presents itself to someone, it could be in the form of an angel, it could be in the form of an ET, it could be in the form of a darker entity. It's going to show up in that person's paradigm, but I think it's all the same energy. It's just a different label.
So, I had a really interesting experience when I witnessed a UFO, middle of the day. Do you think that still has to do with the mechanics of like a flying object? That's the energy? Or is it more of the being itself?
Yeah. So talking about the beings and talking about UFOs per se, those are two different things. So I know we're running out of time. I'll try to be very brief. When we're talking about UFOs in particular, I think one of the mistakes that people make is UFO is simply an unidentified flying object. It does not necessarily mean that it is an extraterrestrial craft. And when it comes to UFOs, I happen to fall more in the camp of, the government conspiracy cover-up, that the government is building crafts that they don't want the public to know about. They're doing experiments. These are, so we had the stealth bomber, we had the SR-71 Blackbird, we've had all these different crafts that later come out that were initially mistaken as UFOs. Does that mean that there are no such things as extraterrestrials, flying, unidentified flying objects, flying spacecraft? No, that's not necessarily what that means. I'm not convinced at the moment that that's what's happening regularly here, but that's just my own paradigm. And that's because my experience in this lifetime has been much more around the paranormal proper as opposed to the UFO side of it.
And I think that's totally fair, and I think it makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of people out there would agree with you. We're actually coming up right now to the end of the show, Angela. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Like, you are an incredible guest. We'd love to have you on. Again, please, if you'd feel free to come back, that would be wonderful.
Fun. Absolutely. I had a blast tonight. Thank you for having me.
And once again, if people want to reach out to you or contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Easiest way is to go to my website, AngelaLynneGibson.com. That's Lynne with an E, Lynne, AngelaLynneGibson.com, or transpersonalradio.com, or they can call me at 619-800-3201.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I know Art's not here, but he would be thanking you profusely right now as well.
Well, you and Art are absolutely the most fun. You guys are great hosts. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, we try to stay as professional as possible, as you obviously
completely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody, Angela Lynne Gibson, definitely visit her website. She's just fantastic and wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you, Inception Radio Network. We love you very much. I think this might be our last show for the next week or two because it's holiday season and things are coming up. So keep staying tuned to IRN. There will be all sorts of wonderful shows playing throughout the holidays. And I guess for Art and myself and for Angela, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you very soon. Happy holidays.
Big news! The new Sprint LTE Plus network is faster than Verizon and AT&T based on analysis of a recent study by Nielsen. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to join Sprint for the biggest offer in U.S. wireless history. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Yep, you heard that right. No gimmicks, no tricks. You have Verizon 6 gigs for $60, 30 with Sprint. And if you have 15 gigs for $100 from AT&T, 50 with Sprint. Even if you have T-Mobile's 10 gigs for $80, we'll give it to you for $40. Oh, and one more thing. We'll even pay your switching fees up to $650 per line so you can switch to the Sprint LTE Plus network today. Visit a Sprint store at sprint.com/save 50%.
Offer coverage not available everywhere for discounted phones. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Subject to new line $36 activation fee. Credit valid port-in. Plans may not be exact match. See website for eligible plans. Offer ends 1/7/16. Savings through 1/8/18. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Contract valid via reward card requires online registration.
Thank you for listening to Transpersonal Radio. If you'd like to suggest a future topic or be a guest, visit transpersonalradio.com. Call the hotline at 619-800-6057 or like our page, facebook.com/transpersonalradio.